Hi, my name is Rachel and I work at the Mississauga Library. Today I will be talking about 3D printing. So let's get started. What is 3D printing? Basically, if you've never seen a 3D printer, what it is a additive manufacturing process where you add layer by layer of a material. So in the case of the library, we use PLA, which is a simple plastic, and PVA, which is a water-soluble support material. Other filament types exist, such as sandstone, wood, metal, carbon fiber, and even human tissue for medical purposes. Why is it in the library? So the library is a place for lifelong learning. We can educate children and adults with digital literacy skills, making skills, and hands-on skills. So libraries have supported digital literacy for over 20 years, and this is the next natural step. And we want to support 21st century literacies. And with new maker spaces, we can play a key role in the creation of content. So if you've never seen a 3D printer before, it might be a surprise, or it seems like it's a brand new, amazing technology. But actually, 3D printers have existed for quite a long time. And you can see that ancient, gigantic box, that was a 3D printer back in 1984. And now we have these microwave-size desktop 3D printers like the Ultimaker 3 that we have at the library. So 3D printing today. If you've ever seen in the news that things are being 3D printed, there are many cool projects and makers across the world creating really awesome 3D designs and sharing them worldwide. So some examples of that would be, the first one is Clear Lake Library has a 3D printing lab that helps a 5-year-old get a new hand. So they're printing the prosthetics that normally cost quite a lot of money and are able to customize it, since children grow very quickly, to the child's growing needs. There's also a fully 3D printed office building. So if you've seen, they have many different kinds of 3D printers, and one of them, you can actually print out giant cement buildings that cost about $10,000 to build versus multi-million-dollar buildings. So that's very cool. And a college student had 3D printed their own braces for less than $60. So it was one of those plastic molds. So he had to 3D model his own mouth, and then he printed it out himself. I'm sure orthodontists would suggest against that, but a very cool project. Tortoise burned in a fire, got his 3D custom printed shell. Very wholesome story. Intricate, beautiful sugar cubes. So actually food is the next step. Even in many science fiction novels, if you've read some recently, they have basically, that's the only food that they have in the future, where you just print out whatever you want using materials that are basically the filament of the printer. Fine art, so allowing the blind to see the fine art for the first time, they 3D print out amazing photographs or different types of 2D art. So for example, the Mona Lisa. And scientists are using 3D printers for much more amazing work, such as this printing a human cornea for the first time. They've also printed skin for burn victims and organs for testing different drugs and uses, such as, so you can see the human skin, bioprinters making organs and tissue. And if you've seen recently, there's many makers that are printing out PPE, which is the protective equipment that medical officers need, and printing out face masks and all that kind of stuff. So that's very cool. And so you can see here, this is an Ultimaker 3, and it has two filament tubes at the top, and basically those are the part where the filament, the PVA and PLA come from, and the dual extrusion print head extrusion, sorry, and that's where the filament is heated up before putting it onto the build plate, and the build plate rises on the Z axis, and then the extrusion print head goes on the X and Y axis. And then the buttons on the bottom are basically a digital screen and a little button where you can access, and a USB slot to put the files in. So the Ultimaker 3 has dual extrusion, so you can actually print much higher quality prints with that, with the support material being PVA, which is water soluble. So you print out your model, you put it into water, and the support materials are automatically taken off. And it's a much more precise printer than we used to have, which was the MakerBots. And it's a very good quality printer. So this is from a MakerBot, and you can see how the supports are all of the same material. So often when you took it off, it would cause quality issues, and you would have to sand down those materials. And so PVA supports, as you can see on the left side, that's PVA, and you submerge it into water. And then on the right side, basically all of the supports are gone, and that is a free-form item, and it can actually spin and rotate. So it's very intricate. And some things when you're coming to 3D printer item at the library, we add skirts, brims, and rafts depending on the material, or sorry, depending on the print. So you can see an example of each of those. And shells are the number of layers on the outside of the item. So you can see on the left side, it looks very thin, and then all the way to the right side, it looks very thick. So a 3D print is not actually 100% solid. The shell is one of the main parts of that, and then the infill is the other part of that. So we usually work with about 5 to 10% infill at the library. You don't want to go any higher than 25%. You're going to actually lower the quality of your print if you do that. And of course, you would save plastic too. And so some mishaps can happen. You can see this poor elephant didn't turn out right. So what happened is there was no supports on this item, and then the printer could not print floating parts of it, overhangs or anything like that. So it caused this kind of malformation of the trunk and feet. And so this is called Cura. This is the software we use to transfer your 3D printer file into something our 3D printer can understand. So normally you would bring in an STL file, which you can find online, or you can design yourself using Tinkercad software or other CAD software. And this Cura changes that file from STL into a file that our 3D printers can understand. And you can see on the right side there where it says extruder 1, extruder 2, PLA, and it has all kinds of different settings. So it basically has a recommended button, and you just want to stick with that most of the time. If you really want a higher quality print, you're going to lower the layer height, which means each layer is thinner. And if you want a faster but lower quality print, if quality doesn't matter, for example, if you were making a model that you were just going to take a mold of that, or if you're planning on sanding it down, you can increase that to 0.2, which is the thickness, again, of the layer. And you can also have different amounts of infill, as I had mentioned. So lower amounts of infill might make your, if you put 0%, for example, it might make it an unstable print and it won't be able to print it properly. But most times we do 5 to 10%, and that works fine. Max, I would say, is 20%. One time we had done, I think, 50%, and it actually started to create a bubble effect on the top layer, so you don't want to do that. And then it automatically generates the supports for where it's needed. And at our libraries, we have print menus, so you can just choose something off of the menu, and you don't have to have a file or do anything with that. For example, we have things like elephant, maple leaf, shark clip, or sea and shovel tugboat. And usually these are seasonal menus, and we change them out. Sometimes they have little cutesy animals on them, or little trinkets, that kind of stuff. Custom prints, on the other hand, is basically anything that you want to print at the library. So you do have to do the 3D printer introduction first before you're allowed to do the custom prints. But basically, It covers any of the legal requirements and that kind of stuff. And also, you can find many, many prints on Thingiverse. So if you weren't comfortable creating your own design to come and custom print, you can find many things that exist already that the community has shared on Thingiverse. And there's lots of different kinds of stuff on there, so I'd really suggest checking that out. And also just a simple Google search for whatever you're looking to 3D print, you'll probably find something on there too. And Tinkercad is actually a website that is very simple to use. It's kind of like playing with blocks, but in 3D space in a computer. So you're just stacking and moving around objects in the 3D space of the computer, but it's very simple and it's more designed for children actually, so it should be pretty accessible, and we're actually probably going to be doing something on there as well. And so custom printing is by appointment, Monday to Saturday, of course, when we're open. And the Ultimaker 3 is available at Burnhamthorpe, Central, Courtney Park, Erin Meadows, Malton, Sheridan, Southcombe, and Meadowvale libraries. And if you wanted to custom print, basically you would bring in your STL file on a USB key. And we have very specific things like we don't print weapons or replicas of stuff. So just keep that in mind. But when you sign off after your 3D printer introduction, it has all of the rules and stuff on there. And the cost for custom printing and the cost basically in general is that there's a $2 fee per print, and it's 8 cents per gram of PLA and 19 cents per gram of PVA. So this is just to make sure that our filament is paid for, and we have a maximum printing time of 8 hours. So if you come in and drop off your file, we can print it either that day or whenever we have the next available slot, and then we will give you a call when it's ready to come and pick it up. And if you wanted to learn more about 3D printing, you can access our lynda.com through your library card and on our website. And there's lots of different information sessions about 3D modeling and printing, and it's a really great website to check out. So this is the 3D printer agreement form that I had mentioned, and if you do your 3D printer introduction, you're going to actually get to sign this, and it will be added to your library card that you've agreed to the terms and you're able to use our 3D printers. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Please visit our website for details on what's coming up and our 24/7 digital services. You can download ebooks, audiobooks, music, magazines, movies, and more. And of course, check out Lynda if you wanted to learn more about 3D printing. See you next time.